Alright, so you see this game, Street Fighter 6. It looks cool, it looks fun, but you've never played a fighting game. Or it's been a minute since you played a fighting game. And I get it. Fighting games are intimidating. They look like fun to watch, but very hard to get into for a lot of reasons. You don't like to lose. It's a grind. You don't have any characters you want to play. I get it. 100% get it. I understand fighting games aren't for everybody. But if you were considering getting a fighting game, if you were looking at Street Fighter 6 and saying, this game looks pretty cool and pretty fun, how do I get into that? Or should I get into that? Let me tell you right now, Street Fighter 6 is looking out to be one of the best fighting games and one of the easiest to get into. I feel like what Capcom's doing right now with the Street Fighter brand is something that they haven't done in a long time. And that's kind of bridged the gap from new players to old players. And I feel like if you were interested, even a little bit, now's the time to get into fighting games, specifically Street Fighter 6. If you don't believe me, check out the demo. Play the World Tour mode, play some matches on like a level 2, level 3 Luke or Ryu, and get a little bit of feel for it. Maybe you don't really jive with it, and that's fine, I get it. But maybe you do, and maybe this is your entryway into what I believe is one of my favorite genres of video games, and that's fighting games. Hey there you guys, my name is Christian. Today I kind of just want to go over whether or not you should be checking out Street Fighter 6, whether you should buy it on day 1 or in early day 1-ish. If you like the video, do me a favor and like the video. Please consider subscribing, as it does help me out tons. And with that, let's get into this real quick. Alright, Street Fighter 6. Street Fighters is a game with a long lineage dating back to like the late 80s in the arcades with the original Street Fighters. And now, a couple decades later, we're inching closer and closer to the release date of the newest entry, Street Fighter 6. And I notice a lot of people are paying a lot of attention to Street Fighter 6. And it's a lot of attention that fighting games hasn't had in a really long time. So it gets me super excited. So this is a conversation I really wanted to have, because I really, really want to preach to people who aren't into fighting games. Please check out Street Fighter 6, because I think, if nothing else, it just looks like a fun game. And I really like healthy competition. I really like people playing these games and just having fun. Now, let's start with the people who've never played a fighting game before. What Street Fighter 6 is doing is something that I hope is groundbreaking and innovative within the fighting game genre. We've seen this a couple times before with combo trials, with kind of like story modes like Mortal Kombat has. And it's ways to get new players familiar with controlling different characters, familiar with what fighting games are and how it feels to win. Street Fighter 6 is doing it, and I feel like a pretty new and innovative way with their World Tour mode. So what World Tour mode is you create your own avatar, you create your own character, and you kind of go through this like open-ish world where you can kind of just fight random people and complete objectives. There's probably going to be some kind of story element to it, but it's a really cool way for you to kind of like test how it feels to play a fighting game, to kind of feel out some of the characters in the roster. And I feel like this is something that is hopefully gonna be more used in the fighting game genre, because I really want people who aren't familiar with hit confirms and DPs and all these weird things that you hear people like Maximilian do talk about, but you don't know what the hell they are. You just know it looks fun, but it's super hard to do. Let me tell you, it really isn't that hard. I just feel like people kind of just set their expectations way too high. Are you going to go win Evo? No, you're not going to go win Evo. Well, maybe you are. I don't know you. But, I mean, odds of all of us winning is not going to happen. There's one winner every year of Evo, and there's so many people who are going to pick out the game. So, maybe don't aim for that. Lower your expectations. Are you going to beat World Tour mode, and are you going to have fun doing that? Check out the demo. You might actually do. I like the demo, and I play Street Fighters forever. My wife, who doesn't play a lot of video games, really loves the World Tour mode and really loves Street Fighters. So I do think there is room for new players and people who aren't really doing this for the competitive space and are just kind of interested in playing a game, similar to how you play like a shooter like Apex or Call of Duty. I feel like Street Fighters or fighting games in general can have that same kind of viewpoint if people really just took the time to just play it a little bit. The first thing first that you want to kind of do when you get into Street Fighter 6, when you play the game, is check out World Tour mode, check out some practice, kind of just feel around. The really great thing about Street Fighters is that they change up the meta immensely with every new game. I've been playing Street Fighter 6. I played some of the closed betas. I played the demo, and let me tell you something. Street Fighter 6 plays nothing like any other Street Fighters. Now, if you're someone who's been playing Street Fighter since Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter 4, hell, even Street Fighter 5, are you going to have a leg up? Sure. There's things you're going to be familiar with, like doing DPs, like timing. There are things that you're going to have a leg up on, but it's not a certainty that you're going to win every match, or you're going to be better than someone who's picking it up on day one for their first time. Because the meta is completely different. This is a slower based fighting game than Street Fighters has been in the past. They have the drive meter that adds a whole bunch of different options to how to play the game. And they have modern controls. Modern controls. What is that? Oh my god, you ask. Modern controls are something that's kind of been newer. It's kind of been around fighting games for a little bit, but it's definitely starting to gain some more traction. Things like Guilty Gear implemented it. What modern mode is pretty much an entryway for people to kind of like test out a character or learn a character's timing and kind of hits. And it's just a really interesting way to do it. So how it works is typically in a regular Street Fighters game, you do what's called a motion input, and it's like your most famous, like the Hadouken or something, where you hold down and you kind of like slide forward in the direction you do and press a button, and that does like an attack. And I know that sounds kind of confusing. You're like, I press down, I press right, what is it? I get it. It's a weird motion that you do, and it's not very intuitive to a lot of people who don't play a lot of fighting games. Which is where modern control comes in, where you can just press any direction and do the special attack button and do something that looks cool. Modern control is a good way for you to get the feeling of how a character fights, how a character plays, their timing, and what is best to do what when. It takes away a little bit of the thinking about what you have to do in a certain moment, and it lets you just kind of feel out those moments. For example, if I can do a Dragon Punch motion faster than you can do a Dragon Punch motion, I'm going to have a huge advantage over you. But if we get rid of that advantage, it levels out the playing field more, where you have more of a competitive chance of maybe beating me. Are you going to win a fight? Maybe not. Maybe you do. Which brings us to the next conversation. Losing in fighting games. Losing in fighting games is a must. You're going to lose matches. That's just how fighting games work. Change your mindset. Don't just say, oh, I lost this, I quit this, I suck. Consider why you lost. Or even then, did you have fun losing? Were you close to beating them? Maybe change your expectations about what you want to accomplish in a match. Let's say maybe you run a match and you just get demolished, perfect knockdown. Well, maybe let's change the expectation of your next match. Maybe your goal isn't to win, but maybe your goal is to land a hit. And then you finally land your hit, boom, mission accomplished. Now let's do that consecutively. Now let's get further down their health bar. Now let's just keep whittling it down, keep changing your expectations until you get to the point where you're winning matches. And I feel like that's kind of the thing. Just change your expectation of what you're going into this game for. Don't expect to win matches, and just try to have fun. That's all this is. It's a video game. Have fun with it. And if you considered it, please just give it a shot. Sorry for this mess of a rant that I've been talking about. I have tons more reasons why you should buy these games, but I feel like those are kind of the big things that I think people are considering when purchasing this game. I'm just really passionate about Street Fighter. Specifically, Street Fighter 6 is just, I want there to be a good, healthy community when Street Fighter 6 launches, and I want it to run for a long time. This is a game that I want to be playing online for a long time with a bunch of different people. So I'm hoping more people kind of get themselves invested in this. And yeah, it's going to be cool to see people play World Tour mode, but I really want to see people transition from the World Tour mode into like online ranked matches. One of the last things I do want to shout out, if you are already in the FGC, if you're already in the community and you're going to buy Street Fighter 6 day one, be nice to those coming into the community. Be nice, help them out, teach them things, and don't just laugh at them or make fun of them or get mad at people who use modern controls. Let them use modern controls. Let them learn. Do not like judge them for trying to get into a new genre of games or a new type of fighting game. Let's just always be very welcoming. That way game developers just keep wanting to push the envelope on what the next fighting game is going to be. With all that being said, those are my final thoughts. I'll see you guys in the next video.